And somebody like DJ Vlad, he's just, I don't even know what he is, but he's not a
commentator.
He doesn't create anything. Like, I say this, no disrespect. He doesn't create anything. He sells us our own trauma. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at that, everything he's doing is built on the back of something. It's at the expense of something.
Now you know they've been waiting for you to do something so they can get your ass out of there. The culture been on your heels for a minute now. They already think you an informant.
You trying to bait us. All the people that went to jail after they came on your show. Because the feds, you work for the feds.
Ever heard the saying, what goes around comes around?
There's a saying, what goes around comes around, and it looks like karma might have caught up with VladTV. Word on the streets is that there's some footage of Vlad leaving his studio recently, and it seems like some people decided it was time for him to face the consequences of his shaky reputation.
Now you know they've been waiting for you to do something so they can get your ass out of there. The culture been on your heels for a minute now. They already think you an informant.
Before we get into the details, let's take a moment to remember why Vlad has been controversial for years. Many people, especially in the streets, have accused him of being a federal informant. There's also been a noticeable pattern of rappers getting arrested, sometimes just days after appearing on his show, which has raised a lot of eyebrows.
All the people that went to jail after they came on your show. Because the feds, you work for the feds. You set niggas up to do interviews off camera.
Sadly, some rappers didn't even live long enough to deal with the fallout, which Vlad himself confirmed in an interview with Boosie.
After Fulio got killed, I decided to go through all my interviews and write down all the people I interviewed that have died violently.
This has everyone asking, who really is Vlad? Let's be honest, if you ask the streets, he's probably one of the most disliked interviewers in America's gang scene. Hip-hop has always had drama, but DJ Vlad seems to take it to another level. His platform, VladTV, is known more for stirring up trouble than real journalism, with some even calling him the hip-hop Fed. The thing is, Vlad doesn't seem to mind that nickname at all.
Because the feds, you work for the feds. You set niggas up to do interviews off camera. Yeah, culture vulture.
It's no secret that Vlad has made some serious enemies, especially with black gangs like the Crips and Bloods, who have said he's not welcome in their neighborhoods. So why all the hate? Many believe VladTV interviews are traps, setting people up to incriminate themselves. This isn't just a random theory. It's backed by a troubling pattern. In fact, 19 rappers have lost their lives after appearing on VladTV, and Vlad even mentioned it in a conversation with Boosie, which only added fuel to the fire.
After Fulio got killed, I decided to go through all my interviews and write down all the people I interviewed that have died violently. I counted 19 people. Jimmy Wapo, 21, Doe B, 22, Jay the Youngin, 24, BTB Savage, 26.
It's not just the tragic deaths. Many others have ended up in jail after saying too much during Vlad's interviews. Some rappers, like Lil Baby, saw through Vlad's tactics and weren't having it. Lil Baby even accused Vlad of being a snitch, especially after Vlad tried to bring up a prison fight and his past legal troubles during their interview.
Everything good, man. I'm seeing the buzz like growing out there. The songs are doing numbers. Like, congrats on what you're doing.
I appreciate you. I appreciate everything. Most definitely appreciate you for having.
But Lil Baby didn't fall for it. He called Vlad out on the spot, making it clear he wasn't someone to be messed with.
Was it like a racist thing? Was it like whites and blacks kind of clicked up in there?
How you know that?
Well, that's just how prison is most times.
I'm telling you, how you know I got into it with a white dude?
Battle rapper Tsu Surf, now serving time on RICO charges, didn't hold back during his 2019 appearance on VladTV. He confronted Vlad about his shady reputation, pointing out how many guests end up in legal trouble after their interviews. Vlad denied working with law enforcement, but Surf didn't believe him and accused Vlad of taking advantage of guests who aren't sharp enough to dodge his tricky questions. Surf stayed on his game and didn't let Vlad trip him up. But not everyone has been that fortunate.
No, I didn't get anybody indicted.
You got a couple niggas.
I didn't get a single person indicted. Who did I get indicted? Who did I get indicted?
I ain't about to open another indictment on who you indicted. It's bait. Like, there's such thing as bait. You're a baiter. You feel me? Like, you're a baiter. So you not. Of course, you wouldn't take the bait for. You wouldn't say.
Unfortunately, some artists have fallen into Vlad's traps. sharing too much, and ending up in trouble. This has people asking if Vlad is just chasing views or if there's something more sinister going on. His interviews spark debates about whether he's telling hip-hop stories or setting people up for failure. Take Lil Tim, for example. His recent visit to Vlad's studio felt like walking into a trap, and time will tell if it backfires. Oh, others have already faced the fallout, like Keef D. He had been talking openly for years about his alleged role in Tupac's murder, but after his Vlad interview, things went south. On September 29, 2023, nearly 30 years after Tupac's death, Keef D, a known gang member, was arrested at his home in Vegas.
It was the first and only time in my life that I could relate to the police command, keep your hands where I could see them. Instead, Pac pulled out a strap.
Keef D was charged with murder with a deadly weapon, accused of acting on behalf of a criminal gang, and many believe his VladTV appearance played a big role in that outcome. Then there's ARAB. In October 2018, he and 8 others were indicted, with the feds accusing him of running a drug empire in North Philly, moving large amounts of drugs, and using upscale properties to hide the stash. In 2019, ARAB, whose real name is Abdul Ibrahim West, was found guilty of conspiracy and drug distribution. By April 2021, he was sentenced to a staggering 45 years in prison. Many think his interviews on VladTV only made things worse by drawing attention to his alleged activities.
I got an investment group. Me and 2 of my guys, our plan is we lease buy one property once a month.
And then there's Casanova, whose downfall followed a similar pattern. After his VladTV interview, people started to wonder if he revealed too much about his street connections.
Right, except when you go to prison, it's not fun anymore.
No, it's fun too.
It's fun too.
It's fun. Prison was fun.
Okay.
On June 27, 2023, Casanova was sentenced to 188 months, nearly 16 years in prison, showing that his appearance on VladTV.
The end of that year, December 5th, 2014, you were in Pleasantville, New Jersey.
Yeah.
You end up getting shot.
Even legends like Beanie Siegel haven't escaped the VladTV curse. On August 29, 2012, Siegel's troubles grew when state troopers pulled him over for erratic driving on I-95. What started as a routine stop turned chaotic when the cops found prescription bottles, weed, a scratched-off syrup bottle, pills, and a firearm, none of which he was legally allowed to have. This happened just 2 weeks before he was supposed to report to prison for tax evasion. The new charges added 23 months to his sentence, which he had to serve alongside his original 2-year sentence for failing to file tax returns. Whether it's loose talk or bad timing, VladTV has been a common thread in these stories, making people wonder if the platform is cursed or if Vlad is just good at setting up interviews that lead to trouble. Either way, the consequences for some of these rappers have been life-changing, and not in a good way. Let's talk about J-Bo next. In October 2023, the BMF affiliate and former right-hand man to Big Meech, Chad Brown, better known as J-Bo, found himself in trouble again.
Okay, and at that point, when Meech was on house arrest, you ended up taking over the whole operation.
Yes.
On his behalf.
Yes.
And you had to go through Terry.
This time, J-Bo wasn't just facing drug charges, but also fraud. He got caught in a COVID-19 PPP loan scam, which was meant to help struggling businesses during the pandemic. According to court records, he applied for and received a $2,833 loan under false pretenses. In U.S. District Court, he pled guilty to bank fraud and submitting fake documents, admitting he lied to get the money. While $2,833 might not seem huge compared to other crimes, it still led to serious legal issues for him. Then there's R, an Atlanta rapper whose real name is Terrell Davis. In 2018, police searched 2 private jets connected to him and found nearly 1,000 lbs of weed worth almost $2 million. He was quickly arrested and charged with conspiracy to distribute. To make matters worse, his label, Famerica Records, was allegedly a front for his gang, Famerica Rue, with R seen as the leader. He was also charged with money laundering and racketeering, a huge blow to his career. Our story shows how living too flashy and making bad moves can bring unwanted attention. Finally, there's the heartbreak of lives lost. The most recent tragedy involves Jacksonville rapper Julio Fulio. On June 23, 2024, he was shot and killed in Tampa.
At this point, you're kind of numb to the death of the or does it still hit you the same way each time?
I'm numb. Like I said, I done seen death like so many times.
Just days after celebrating his 26th birthday, Julio Fulio was staying at an Airbnb with friends before deciding to get a room at a nearby Holiday Inn. That decision turned fatal when he was ambushed at the hotel. While several others were injured, Julio didn't survive and passed away shortly after the shooting, leaving fans and the hip-hop community mourning yet another life taken too soon. Then there's Jimmy Woe, a rising star from Pittsburgh, known for painting a raw, unfiltered picture of life in his city through his music. When he sat down with VladTV, he didn't hold back, talking about the violence in Pittsburgh and how boredom and a lack of opportunities often lead to deadly outcomes.
Me, what I'm doing with my rap and how over the last year and a half I changed my life on some straight rapping and how they focus on me.
Sadly, on June 18, 2018, not long after his VladTV interview, Jimmy Woe became a victim of the same violence he had spoken about. While sitting in a car in his own neighborhood, the place where he built his career, he was caught in a double shooting. Jimmy didn't survive and passed away just 90 minutes after arriving at the hospital. His death hit the industry hard, especially since he had just talked about the harsh realities that ended up taking his life. Then there's the heartbreaking case of D.O.B., signed to T.I.'s Grand Hustle label and a key part of the Hustle Gang crew. He had been making waves as an up-and-coming rapper with tons of potential. He also appeared on VladTV, where fans got a glimpse of his undeniable talent.
You know, I wasn't saying nothing. You know, when I was in the hospital, I was on bed to cut my shirt open. My eye was open, but I wasn't seeing, you know what I'm saying? So I ate the whole room.
Sadly, D.O.B.'s career was cut short on December 27, 2013, when gunfire broke out at Centennial Bar and Grill in his hometown of Montgomery, Alabama. D.O.B. and another person were killed, and several others were injured. It was a devastating loss for his loved ones and the entire hip-hop community, as people had been rooting for him. His death felt like a blow to everyone who saw his bright future. Then there's Jay DeYoungin, another promising rapper whose life ended too soon after his VladTV appearance. Known for his hit 23 Island and other tracks, he was shot and killed in his hometown of Bogalusa, Louisiana, on July 27, 2022. The attack left him and his father injured. While his father survived, Jay DeYoungin tragically didn't make it. He was only 24 years old, and his death shook fans and the hip-hop world, making people wonder if the so-called VladTV curse had struck again. Next up is BTB Savage, whose story is chilling because of how quickly everything spiraled. Just days after sitting down with DJ Vlad and talking about an attempted robbery at his apartment in Alamo City, where he claimed to have shot one of the intruders in self-defense, BTB Savage was killed in Houston.
Today we have BTB Savage, who was recently involved in killing a man in self-defense who tried to rob him at his home. Welcome to VladTV.
It happened on Thursday, March 30th, 2023. BTB Savage was sitting in his car in Houston's upscale River Oaks area when he was ambushed and gunned down around 6 p.m. The timing was eerie, coming so soon after his VladTV interview, leaving people wondering if that appearance made him a target. His story wasn't just about surviving a terrifying ordeal. It became a tragic example of how speaking out can sometimes bring even more danger. Then there's FBG Duck, another rapper whose life was brutally cut short after making waves for the wrong reasons.
You feel that people want to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that go through your mind pretty much every day when you wake up?
Every day, all day.
FBG Duck was shot and killed in broad daylight on Tuesday, August 4th, 2020, in Chicago's upscale Gold Coast neighborhood, far from the street wars he rapped about. 4 gunmen jumped out of 2 cars and opened fire on him while he stood on the sidewalk, also injuring 2 bystanders. Duck, whose real name was Carlton Weekly, was a prominent member of the Gangster Disciples and had stirred controversy with diss tracks aimed at rivals, including taunting lyrics about deceased enemies. Authorities later suggested his murder was retaliation for those songs. Duck was hit multiple times and died about 30 minutes after being rushed to the hospital. His death showed how deadly rap beefs can get, especially when street ties are involved. Then there's Mo3, whose life ended in a devastating way after appearing on VladTV. On November 11, 2020, Mo3 was chased down and killed in broad daylight on a Dallas freeway while driving on I-35. Black sedan pulled up, and the suspect, described as an adult black male, got out and approached him. Mothry tried to escape by jumping out of his car and running, but the gunman chased him down and fired multiple times, fatally striking him. He was rushed to the hospital but didn't survive. The attack, which unfolded on a busy highway, shocked everyone. Mothry had been rising in Dallas's rap scene, but his life ended in a way that felt straight out of a crime thriller, leaving fans and friends mourning his potential. Then there's Draco, whose death was equally tragic, but in a completely different setting.
Draco the Ruler.
Yeah.
Fresh out of jail.
Fresh out.
After doing 3 years.
3 years.
Facing life.
Draco was fatally stabbed on December 18, 2021, during the Once Upon a Time in LA concert at the Bank of California Stadium. The event was a big deal, featuring heavyweights like Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, and 50 Cent. But before Draco could even hit the stage, chaos broke out. Paramedics arrived around 8:40 p.m. after reports of a stabbing, and Draco was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Sadly, he didn't survive. The fact that his life was taken so violently at such a high-profile event shocked the hip-hop world. His death wasn't just a loss to rap, but also a haunting reminder of how dangerous the industry can be, even in places meant for celebration. Then there's Takeoff, the quiet soul of Migos, whose untimely death on November 1, 2022, outside a Houston bowling alley, sent shockwaves through hip-hop.
Proud I am of y'all and all the success and everything else like that. You know, I feel like I got to see it right before it happened.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate everything. Appreciate everything. Hard work pay off.
What started as a quiet night with Quavo turned into chaos when shots were fired, tragically taking Takeoff's life. His passing was especially heartbreaking since he was known for staying out of the drama, leaving fans mourning yet another senseless loss in the industry. Just as the world was trying to process that heartbreak, we remember Chink's Drugs, a rising talent from Queens, whose promising journey was cut short on May 17, 2015, when he was gunned down in his Porsche. Chink's death was a painful reminder of how the streets often catch up with artists, no matter how far they rise. His loss left a deep void in the New York rap scene and an ache for what could have been. Then there's Slim 400, a Compton rapper who truly represented his city in everything he did. On December 8, 2021, tragedy struck when Slim was shot in Inglewood, California. Despite efforts to save him, Slim passed away from his injuries, leaving the West Coast rap scene in shock. His death was another painful reminder of the violence that too often takes the lives of artists too soon. Lastly, we remember Nipsey Hussle, whose influence went far beyond music. He was a community leader, an entrepreneur, and a symbol of hope for many.
Our generation, you know what I'm saying, was kind of responsible for like putting it on the map in terms of like hustling and business.
On March 31, 2019, Nipsey Hussle was tragically shot outside his Marathon clothing store in Los Angeles. The senseless violence that took his life left a massive void not just in hip-hop, but in the hearts of all those who admired him. Nipsey was more than a rapper. He was a symbol of what's possible when you give back to your community and stay true to your roots. His loss hit hard, and his impact is still felt today. Sadly, the list continues. Young Greatness, known for his hit Moolah, was another artist with so much potential. On October 29, 2018, he was shot during a robbery attempt in New Orleans. He tried to escape, even slipping out of his shoes, but the violence caught up with him, cutting his life short and reminding everyone that danger can follow, even when you've made it out. Then there's Snooty Wild, a standout in Memphis rap, who was found with a gunshot wound in Houston on February 25, 2022. Known for his track Yayo, Snooty's loss was as senseless as it was heartbreaking, leaving another void in the rap world. Finally, there's Young Dolph, a Memphis legend whose name still rings out as a symbol of independence and resilience.
Like a lot of people watch the movie Boys in the Hood. Like I put on everything like that how hood was for real, like growing up in the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
On November 17, 2021, Young Dolph was visiting M's Butter Cookies, a local shop he loved and supported, when gunmen ambushed him and took his life in broad daylight. The city of Memphis hasn't been the same since. Dolph wasn't just a rapper, he was a force for good, someone who built others up and gave back to his community in ways few could match. Losing him wasn't just losing an artist, it was losing a pillar of strength and hope. Looking at this heartbreaking list, it's hard not to wonder about the role VladTV interviews, or even the culture of sharing personal stories in public might play in some of these tragedies. The timing of these deaths often follows intimate interviews where artists talk about their lives, enemies, and struggles, and it feels too eerie to ignore. While street affiliations and unresolved beefs certainly play a part, the added visibility and vulnerability from these interviews might just be making things more dangerous. It's unsettling to think about, but the connection seems too strong to dismiss. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and stay informed. Stay tuned for more updates, and let's keep our news accurate.